Hi, everyone. If you think that you've signed up for the LinkedIn workshop, then you are in the right place. Thanks so much to all of you for joining us today. My name is Stacy Owen. I'm the Executive Director of Alumni Engagement for the School of Business. And clearly, this is a topic that we all feel like we need help on, including myself, as I mentioned in my message to you yesterday. We are recording this session, so I'm sure a lot of you may want to take notes. I will send the recording out to you afterwards. Please mute yourselves unless you have a question. And I just have to add, if our workshop is Zoom bombed or anything else, we'll shut it down. We will end it and reschedule. We are so excited to have with us today a fellow School of Business alum, Jenny Olson, who is MBA 2004. She has over 20 years of experience in marketing and sales, both in not-for-profit and corporate, focusing on brand management. She currently runs her own career strategy and branding firm called Brand Elements Coaching. You'll see the logo in the bottom right-hand corner. In her free time, she serves as an adjunct faculty member and leadership coach for the Center for Creative Leadership and teaches graduate level social media courses at UNC Greensboro. Also something that I could use help with. But most importantly, she eats lots of dark chocolate. Jenny, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with fellow Wake Forest alumni. And I'm now going to turn it over to you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Stacy. I am excited to see many of you on the phone today on Zoom. And you may have noticed that I spent the morning sending LinkedIn invitations. One promise from this session was to grow your visibility on LinkedIn. And so you now will, by the end of today, each have one more connection. So if I don't reach out to you, reach out to me. I have put my LinkedIn profile URL in the chat. So please reach out to me if you don't hear from me. I was doing a little stalking, and if my stalking wasn't as successful, then I would love for you to stalk me. And I am thrilled that a couple folks raised their hand and said they would love to be guinea pigs for me today so that I can show you in real time how I work with clients and also some nice actionable ways that you can enhance your profile. So without any further ado, I'm going to spend time this morning with Shriti, I'm not sure how to say your name. So if I saw you join, if you don't mind just unmuting for a second to say hello and say your name for me, that would be super.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jenny. And yeah, thanks for the opportunity. It's Sridhar Dasu. I go by Dasu. Just, folks have called me by my last name for the last 30+ years. So if you address me by last name, I won't get offended.
Excellent. Well, I love that. Well, one tip I have, if you're interested, if you have the LinkedIn app on your phone, you can record a 30-second intro message. And so you can say, hello, this is your name and how you pronounce it, and a little bit about me. So that's one thing that you might want to consider. So if those of you all who have nicknames, but you have your full name in your LinkedIn, you might also consider that too. Adding that little intro so folks know how to say your name and they can connect with you in the way that you would like them to reach out. So definitely keep that in mind. That's a feature on the app. If we start here with this profile, there are a couple things that I want to congratulate, and I'm going to say it one more, Dasu. All right, I want to congratulate you on some things, and I'm also going to offer you some suggestions. Are you ready? Okay, super. So the question that I want to start, if you don't mind going off mute, I'd love to know if you have any goals for LinkedIn about how you'd like to use it.
Yeah, I mean, primarily, I will get a next career opportunity through networking. I think that's how I see it.
Excellent. Super. All right, so I'm going to go through and just pick out a couple things, and we're going to come back to your note about networking. The first thing you'll see here is the background image. This is the generic LinkedIn background image, and I would suggest that you upload something new. The thing about this, you're signaling that you know the latest LinkedIn best practices by having a background image on your LinkedIn profile. That almost doesn't matter what it is. It can be a staged photo of your desk with the coffee mug and the business books that you love. It could be a picture of your dog. The only thing that I caution is a landscape picture with a sun or a moon in it. Sometimes those pictures can oscillate the way that the pixels are, and everyone just wants to focus on that instead of the words of your profile. And you want them to scroll down and look at your profile. So that's my only caution as you're finding an awesome landscape picture for your background image. So something generic, it could just be a technology scene, it could be a garden scene, something calming that's nice, that shows, again, I know what it looks like to be up to date on LinkedIn, and now I want you to move on to read my words to learn about me.
Could it be words as well, or no? Or should it be picture?
It could be words, absolutely. I have if I click over to mine real quick, I have my business logos. So words, a nice quote, absolutely. That's a great question. The one thing I wanted to say up at the top right here, operational excellence and strategy leader at Coca-Cola Consolidated. This is your headline, and this is great. One thing you can think about, and this goes for all of you on the call, this is your profile. It's not Coke's profile. So you can make this about you. Coke already gets a presence up in this billboard section because their logo is featured. So you could delete Coca-Cola, and you could list 3 or 4 other keywords that would communicate the unique value that you bring to an organization. So just keep in mind, this is your profile, it's not the organization's. So you can own it and make it more about you. The other thing I have loved, like I said, stalking you guys this morning and finding all of these Wake Forest logos and the nice, beautiful spacing up here on this billboard space. This is great. I'm a Babcock graduate back in the day too. And I wanted to show you real quickly on mine, I've got Wake Forest University School of Business. So this is the new logo for Wake. So those of you all like me, and if you have Babcock on here, you may consider updating to the School of Business. Completely up to you. Just one little thought. All right, as we continue to go down through Dasu's LinkedIn profile, the About section here is what we're going to look at next. I want you all to notice as we scroll down, you see his picture, his name, and that headline again. These 3 things regarding the networking goal that he has, these 3 things follow you around LinkedIn. So if you comment on someone's post, if you do a recommendation, everyone is going to see these 3 things. So this is why that headline is so important. Make it about you and instead of the organization, so that they can be intrigued to click on your profile and learn more about you. So operational excellence strategy leader, experienced, driving technology infrastructure. I'm just kind of looking at this quickly. Change management, delivering large scale transformation projects. So I'm just picking out some words from the About section. You could add those to your headline. If somebody is looking for an individual with change management, if they see you've commented on someone's post, they may notice that in your headline. Click through to learn more about you. So this is the beauty of the headline. It's that teaser tagline that follows you around LinkedIn. So if we look at this About section, this is great. One of the things that is a new best practice for LinkedIn is personalizing this and humanizing you. So a lot of folks will pick up their summary statement from the resume and populate it in this About section. It's very corporate speak. And so I love that this last statement is, I'm recognized for my participatory leadership style. So you've already got some humanizing going on. So I would apply that to the first paragraph too, just for consistency of voice. And I'd also add a space between these paragraphs. With LinkedIn, people browse it very quickly. So if you give them a space, it gives them a chance to pause, think about what they just read before moving on to the next paragraph. So then that way they can really think about each thing that you're saying. So it lends more weight to all of the statements that you have in your About section. The other thing you may consider is adding a third paragraph, which would be areas of expertise, where you would just list those keywords right out. You could even pull the ones from the About section. So it's people who want to read, they can spend the time reading it. Those who want to browse quickly can just go to that section that says areas of expertise, and then bam, 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 change management, technology strategy, digital transformation, operational excellence, leadership and management, those types of things. All right, so if we keep going along in the experience section, I thought this was great. Again, you've got some places in here where you're talking about, I provide technology and product development. I would take that personalization, that humanization, the I pronoun, and just spread it throughout your experience. So the voice is the same as they're reading. So it doesn't change voice from kind of corporate speak back to being personal. And as you all, everybody on the call, as you think about this, because people browse quickly on LinkedIn, I would limit what you have in these descriptions under experience to maybe 2 key accomplishments. This isn't your resume. You want this to be a teaser campaign where people are going to get a little taste of who you are and then be intrigued to reach out to learn more and ask for your resume at that point. So just keep that in mind. Just so yours wasn't that long. Some of them I did notice were, so that's my caution around that. We love key accomplishments. It shows results, it shows impact, but limit it to about 2. So they say, ooh, there must be more. Let me contact this person to learn more. Under education, one of the things as you progress in maturity, ageism becomes a potential concern. So I like to suggest to clients to age-proof their LinkedIn by removing the graduation dates. So if you just graduated last year, leave it on there. You need to keep celebrating that new certificate degree that you have. But if it's been at least 5 years, definitely take off those years. And the other thing I wanted to say 2 more things with yours. Volunteers right here. You've got a couple experiences with the same organization. That's who I would combine those together. So everything related to the Metrolina Regional Scholars Academy. So that way people can tell it's 2 organizations, and then it just shows the breadth of different things that you have done for that one specifically. So just combine those into 2 organizations. And then I reached out to Dasu yesterday to congratulate him on his recommendations section. And so this is a beautiful way to expand your network. Anytime you give a recommendation or you get a recommendation, you are featured on that other individual's profile. It's a great way for you to start a networking discussion. Hey, you made a big impact on me. I'd love to give you a recommendation. Hey, can you give me a recommendation? And I would love for you to talk about my leadership skills. So you can start a networking discussion with that. You also are going to get more visibility because you're going to show up on that other person's profile. And in turn, they're going to show up on yours. Probably they're going to say, well, if I give you one, will you give me one? Which is a quid pro quo. I have that on mine. I like people to say no, but to do it in a very subtle way. You are benefiting from the network effects already because you're both already going to be featured on one another's profile. If you give to the same person, you're going to end up with a closed network loop. So if you guys have questions on that, it's a little confusing. And it's awkward to say, no, I'm not going to give you one in return. But you can explain to them, you're going to have some, you could start the conversation that way. I'd love to give you some exposure on my profile by asking you to give me a recommendation. And then somebody who visits your profile may see theirs, see their headline, and click through to that person's profile. So it's always great to get them both ways, but you can also get the benefits of those network effects if you just decide, hey, I'm going to recommend this person, and I want a recommendation from this other person. So do you guys have questions on that? Okay. The last thing I wanted to say, Dasu, with your goal of networking is up here on activity. You have 1,200, 1,300 followers, which is phenomenal. If I click through to see all activity, I want to go to posts. Anybody can see what you posted on LinkedIn or when. So 24 hours ago, or 21 hours ago yesterday, this is great. So you shared, and a month ago, you might increase this to once a week to share an article. And I love that you have hashtags because this is how people search on LinkedIn. It's the way they curate content. So now if somebody clicks on STEM education, Dasu's post is going to show up. They will see his headline, may be intrigued, and want to come and see his profile and learn more about him. Any questions, Dasu? Thanks for being a guinea pig.
No, I mean, thank you. I think the only question I probably have is on the recommendation one. I just felt, again, you can see my recommendations are old. That was when I was actually looking for a job, like, during the transition period. So maybe since then I'm not, right? How do you approach folks where, even within your organization, and not feel like you're asking them because you don't want them to know that you're looking, right?
Right. Yes, I see that too. So with received, here's one from 2012. The Harvard Business Review will say to go back and ask and tap into your dormant network, because people who you haven't seen in a while, 2 years or longer, they have expanded their network in a different direction than your current contacts. So I would tap into those folks if you can. It's an opportunity for you to say, hey, here's where I've been. Here's how I survived the pandemic. How did you do? You're subtly starting that conversation around, I'm thinking about doing something else, without saying, I want a job. And they may say, do you want a job? And then you can have the conversation in that direction. But you can say, actually, I would love for you to recommend me. We worked on a specific project and I'm really trying to create my brand around operational excellence. And I know at the time you recommended me internally because I had done that project so well. Do you mind recommending me? And if you tell people what to recommend you for, it's easier for them. They don't have to come up with that on their own. Most likely they'll say yes, and then they'll kind of pick up the words that you already told them to use and just tweak it a little bit. That makes it easy. And you can go to other people too to update your given and say, hey, I really, you made an impact on me. So you've got 2021 for these. So these are pretty updated. So does that help with a strategy for getting more recent recommendations? I had a couple of people who looked like you were raising hands or maybe putting some things in the chat. Super helpful.
Yeah, there's both. There's both. Jamie has her hand raised, Jennifer has her hand raised, and then there are 2 questions in the chat box.
Okay, excellent. So I'm looking here, should about section be in the first person? That is, so I say that, and yet if you looked at mine, I don't really have first person, but you're starting to see that more and more often. It's humanizing people on LinkedIn. So that's why I'm saying that that's a new best practice. So yeah, for the about section and your experience, your volunteer section, you can put first person for everything if you wanted to. I've been on LinkedIn for a long time. I've always followed the philosophy that I know something about everyone I'm connected to. Oh yeah, connections. This is hard. Because I go to market on LinkedIn, I'm getting a lot of people reach out to me who I have no connections with. So I will go and look at their profile and try to decide, are they trying to sell me something? Or does it really look like I could be helpful to them? They're following my content for a reason. So I have expanded my parameters of who I connect with on LinkedIn. So that's definitely a personal preference that you'll want to figure out. Yay, CCL colleagues, woohoo. Let's see, I'm unsure about taking off years of education. Okay, so somebody asked about how do you remove the education years? If you, let me go to mine so I can show you.
Jenny, my question actually wasn't about the process of taking it off. It's just the question about taking it off.
Okay,
see the second part. I just, when I'm hiring, for a lot of positions, I like to see some years of experience around education and things like that. And so, you know, I get ageism at the same point. You know, I see a lot of new graduates coming into my positions, and sometimes we don't want that. And so it's helpful to see that.
Yeah.
So just wondering the balance between the two, or is there a certain age that you want to take them off, or?
Yeah, we usually, and with resumes too, I tend to recommend that if it's been 5 years since you graduated, then you take the years off. But newer graduates, we say to keep that on because that's something that is still new and should impact how the trajectory of their career goes. You can leave it on there as long as you want, definitely. If it's pre-2000, people start to say, oh, that was the last century, even though it wasn't. but they start to feel like that looks old. Did that answer your question a little bit?
A little bit. I'm not totally convinced. I have to think more on it, but yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Let's see. I always feel that if someone does not indicate their years of graduation, then they're old. Yeah, I mean, that's the other side of that too. Yeah, for sure. So that's just one of the recommendations around ageism, is to take anything off that's pre-2000. And if you graduated at least 5 years prior, then you can remove the dates. But that, again, that's personal preference. All right, so let's move on to Ashley. Azu, thank you so much again.
Hey, Jenny.
Yes.
Jenny, you have 2 hands raised, Jennifer and Jamie. I want to make sure you saw them.
Perfect. Jennifer.
Yes, hi. So my question is, do you always want to remove your company name from your headline? And the reason I ask is, like, what if you want people seeking you out? Like you're a recruiter or you're a salesperson with a big company and you want them to call you. I mean, wouldn't that be a time where you'd want to put in the company you work for?
I think that's great. Yep. I've worked with executives who are retired. They want people to know that they were at IBM for 20 years. They will put that in. Yep. So again, there could be a real reason that if you own your own business, I don't have my names in my headline, but if you own your own business, you're trying to establish that brand. Absolutely. That's a great question.
All right. Good advice. Thank you.
For sure. And was that Jamie and Jennifer?
Yeah. Thanks, Jenny. And this might be for another time. I certainly want to optimize my personal LinkedIn, and I also manage the LinkedIn page for my company.
Sure.
So I wondered if there were any best practices around that, boundary setting, or if the same tips that you're giving us for individual profiles also apply for your business profile.
Yes, I would love to reach out to you afterwards. So if I haven't connected with you already, if you'll connect with me.
We're connected.
Okay, good. So yeah,
Thanks.
so just shoot me a time and we can set up a time to talk about some best practices around business pages.
Oh, wow. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you.
All right, Stacy, do you feel like I got everybody?
There was just one more question, that if you're currently pursuing a degree, should you put the year that you're expected to graduate on your LinkedIn profile?
I would definitely do that, because you want to have the benefit of already being connected with that organization, that university, because that is what's going to hopefully take your career in that next stage. So yeah, you want to go ahead and say, look, I am already pursuing additional education. I'm learning Agile.
Great, you're all caught up.
Okay, excellent. All right, Ashley, I saw you pop in, so I'm excited to work with you. And I wanted to start by saying, ask the question, do you have any goals around how to use LinkedIn?
Yes, I'm looking for a new role and also trying to pivot from financial services to technology.
Okay, excellent. That's great. So if I start with yours, I'm going to start at the very top, and this is going to apply to lots of folks on the call. This is your URL. Can you see that? I've got it highlighted. So I would like, if any of you all have this numeric code at the end of your URL, I'm going to show you how to take that off. And you can personalize it, and you can put -MBA if you want. I'm going to show you on mine. So that'll be the first thing I've got for you, Ashley. So I'm on my profile now. If I go over here to the right side, it says edit public profile and URL. If you click on that, there's a blue button here, and you're going to click on it, and you can change anything in this field. So you can delete that numeric code, and you can add MBA or just have it just your name. If it doesn't accept it, it could be there's another person out there with the same name, so you might want to add a middle initial. Or for those of you who went and got your MBA from Wake, you could add the MBA, or your law degree, or Master of Science, whatever you want to do. So if you have your own business, some people will put their business name here too. So that's my first suggestion there. Okay, and so if we keep going, right here with your headline, this is an opportunity for you to expand your headline. So we have Brooklyn Asset Management. Of course, they already have their presence here on this billboard space with the logo. So I would talk about this analytics and data strategy. You could put a period, or you could do that spacer key. That's the vertical tall key on the keyboard that's above the slash, the vertical spacer. And you could do some other things. and I'm just going to use the same things I just talked about with Dasu, but because I haven't spent a ton of time with you. So just think about, are there 3 things you want another employer to know about you? And those are the keywords you want to use. So analytics and data strategy, change management, digital transformation, business transformation, IT technology, strategy, STEM leadership. It looked like you're a math whiz from what I was seeing. So you can even put that math whiz. Let's see if we keep going on your contact info. And this goes for several of you on the phone today. Ashley has her email address. I just wanted to point this out. I thought this was awesome. So you want to make sure you've got a way for people to contact you. So just in general, everybody, make sure you've got your email address on there. Also, if you have websites that you connect people with through your contact, make sure they're updated and the links work. I noticed a couple of folks, that is not the case. So just a little heads up. All right. The other thing I wanted to say, this is a nice congratulations also to Ashley and Dasu, same for you. You guys have 500 plus connections. LinkedIn will call you like a super all-star, and they will show your content to more people, which helps you to increase your visibility. So you have less than 500, your goal over the next month is to get to 500. So that goes to everybody else on the phone. And like I said, I tried to start reaching out to folks this morning to give you that additional 1 today. As we keep going down, so Ashley, with your about section, you could expand this just with Dasu, like I said, to make this, to have that personal, the I pronouns, and you could also put in those skills that you have that are transferable skills that will go from asset management into, I think you said technology?
Yes.
Yeah, so you want to make it easy because we get pigeonholed with the organization we've been in or the role we've been in. That's easy for recruiters. Oh, well, you're an asset management. Why do you want to go to this space over here? So you make it easy for them by listing those transferable skills. They can say, oh, she's great at project management. She's great at, you know, collaborating with others. Those are skills that would make sense in our space too.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to point out, I love your use of this featured section. This kind of goes for all of you on the phone. There's a licenses and certification section down here, which Ashley has rocked it out with all of the different courses she's taking, especially if you're trying to transition to another sector. If there are skills and classes that you can take, this is a great way to start saying, look, I am making the leap already. I'm taking these classes and I am showcasing them on LinkedIn. So I am taking the step to move into this new sector. So I love that you're doing that here. And then with the featured section, because you have so many licenses and certifications, there's tons of them. With this featured section, you pulled out 3 of them and really highlighted them in this featured section, which I thought was really great. So that could be one way to say, of all of the skills and licenses that I have gained over the past 5 months to move into the sector, these are the 3 most important ones. So I'm putting them in the featured section. So that goes for everybody on the phone. There's ways to use this featured section to really let things kind of jump off the page in the middle of your profile. The one thing I do want to suggest here with this featured section, I clicked on this one and I didn't know where it was going and the image isn't showing up. So I would add an image and then I would give a little description. When it finally went there, my computer was slow yesterday. I was like, what is this? So give a little clue as to what people can expect when they get to that web page.
Okay.
All right. As we go down, this is an opportunity for you to cut down on the content that they're going to have to read through for the experience section. And I would focus in on those skills, again, that are transferable to the new sector.
Okay.
So you might look at it and even tweak some of the wording to say it makes more sense if I'm thinking technology to highlight the following things and then to delete the others. So that's the lens I would take as you shorten this. So because people do browse very quickly. Let's see. And then also with your experience section, if you wanted to, you could take off the hostess position, the intern position.
Mm-hmm.
You could move this fundraising manager, which you may or may not have been paid for, but you could move that to the volunteer section because it feels like it's in the social sector. Let's see. And the other thing I was going to point out, this goes for everybody. There's a skills section down here. LinkedIn showcased your top 3 skills. So Ashley, for your desire to move into another sector, you want to say, do these top 3 skills make sense for where I'm moving? And Microsoft Excel, I don't know much about you, but just from what I'm seeing here, I'm guessing that you can do some really amazing things with Excel. You're probably an expert level Excel, just making some assumptions. But I don't know if you move into the next sector, that's the type of thing that you will use as highly. You might think of some strategy words, some leadership terms, and these would stay on your list. They just wouldn't be those top 3 that folks would look at.
Okay.
Any questions?
No, I think I'm all set. Thank you so much. This is so helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. The last thing I was going to show all of you, and some of you may be aware of this, there's this open to, is this the one? No, I can never find it. There's one where you can say whether you want to be recruited. Where did that go? It's like open to work, I think. Maybe this is it, open to work. Let's edit it. Okay. All right, so if you are looking for another job, you can click on this open to work at the top of your profile. You can tell them what the job titles look like, tell LinkedIn, and it's going to default to the section down here that says all LinkedIn members. If you do that, it's going to show this little banner open to work. I would recommend that you click on recruiters only. So if you are trying to reach out and expand your network with recruiters, then you want to turn this on and make sure it's set to just recruiters only. And one of the things I've heard from some clients is that you should turn it on and off, because right as you turn it on, the recruiter's like, ooh, new person in the pile. But then 2 weeks later, other new people have kind of gotten on top of that. You're kind of further down in the pile. So maybe a month later, turn it off, wait a couple weeks, and then turn it back on so you're at the top of the pile again. So that's my last recommendation if you all are using LinkedIn to look for another job. All right, I want to thank Ashley for your patience, and we went through that very quickly, and all of you on the phone, you got to see me in action and also do some things that are kind of global for everyone. What other questions do we have? Because this was fast and furious.
We have 3 questions in the chat.
Okay.
If you can show again how to add email address to a profile.
Okay.
That was one of the questions. The second had to do with choosing to use emojis in bios and talking about that choice. I think it's just 2. Yes, just 2 new questions.
Okay, great. Yes, emojis. So I have, if you see in mine, this little, because I own 2 different businesses, and one is my career strategy business, and then I run a speakers bureau. I run that for CCL. And so I have this little asterisk to say, hey, heads up, I'm about to talk about some different things about me as an individual entrepreneur. Some people will have crazy emojis with like pencils and horses and unicorns, all sorts of things. I think it comes down to, you don't want to have it overkill, but also if you're in a creative space, maybe you want to have a little paintbrush or something. You have to decide what you want that professional brand to be. And if you want a lot of that personality or just a subtle character that just says, hey, heads up, I want to draw your attention to this other thing. I'm about to change topics. It can be used as a spacer. It can also be used as an attention grabber. Or it could be used to show some personality. So that it can go either way. Some people have like 20 of those in their headline. And adding your email address. Okay, so contact info. You can see the pencil up here. You're just going to click on that. And it will default your email address to the one that is associated with your LinkedIn account. So you can just search, if that isn't the one you want to have featured, you can search how to add an email address. You can add a second one, and then you can select the one that it's featuring. So just play around with that a little bit. But you can add your website. I recommend not having phone numbers, not having addresses, and not having birthdays on here. Birthdays feels a little bit like a Facebook feature more than LinkedIn. but that's up to you. It's just a privacy thing. People can kind of track your birthday, and that's used often to establish new accounts online. So it's just one more piece of data you might want to keep to yourself. So something to think about. A lot of these are personal preferences.
We have one more question.
Yes.
If you flag open to work for recruiters, wouldn't recruiters from your own organization see it?
I do not know the answer to that question. It is an excellent question. Yeah, I don't know how LinkedIn identifies a recruiter, if it's specific agencies or not. Yeah, I guess that's one of those things. Somebody's saying yes, they do. So somebody's saying I think they heard they do not. So I don't know. That sounds like that's up for debate a little bit. You could turn it off and then just hope and do the networking strategy, which is use your contacts within LinkedIn to say, hey, I'm interested in this other sector. Can we have an informational interview where I can learn about it, learn about your job, learn about what you do, and just go through a traditional networking strategy that way. And you can look for the jobs kind of behind the scenes if you want to avoid the opportunity or the concern that recruiters may be at your organization and see that you are available. Yeah, that's a great question. Anybody else have any questions? We covered a lot. Thank you all so much for being here today. I appreciate it.
Jenny, thank you. I feel like I need to go update my LinkedIn profile right now. I'm going to post Jenny's email address to the chat in case any of you would like to email her directly, or she shared her LinkedIn profile and welcomes connections from you. So thanks so much for being here today, and I will send out the recording either later this afternoon or tomorrow so you can rewatch it again, pick up some new tips.
Thanks so much, everybody. I appreciate it.